quite a jolly tune, isn't it, for a Sunday morning as we record this?
It's a fantastic tune. My concern is, I had one concern this morning.
What's that? What's that, mate?
I know you had a bit of several sherbets last night.
I did, yes.
But can we deal with this screen situation right now, please? Because I don't like being this side of the screen when you're hosting the show. This is not.
You can host it. I don't mind. Do you want to host
it? Out of it? This is yours. This is yours. You do this.
Can we do this then?
I don't mean I have to take care of your baby, do I?
Like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and
touch the bell. Just reach out and give that bell a little touch. It's fine.
That's all we need you to do,
I won't judge you for it.
Supports the channel tremendously. Duke, would you like to go first with your story? Or have you forgotten it again like the other night?
No. I'm all right today. Thank you.
All right, mate. So, what's the story you want to bring to the people?
So it pretty much ties in with my story from yesterday. The night before yesterday, or the night, I don't know. When we recorded it and when it goes out, it's beyond me. When we were talking about the Millwall lad, this one pretty much ties in with that. So we've been linked again with another player outside the Premier League and outside the big leagues. Young lad called Leigh out of Preston, 17-year-old. We were linked. Apparently, we were linked with him before, both us and Everton, before he penned a deal, his pro deal. But he's now although he's committed. He's committed his contract there. It says there until 2024. Apparently, we've resurfaced with David Moyes actually being keen on a deal. Now, I'll be honest with you, Rob. This excites me. I know we were saying the other day about what was the young lad from Millwall? What's his name?
Jed Wallace.
Oh, Jed Wallace. I don't know where Mitchell's come from. How old's he, by the way? Wallace.
What, Jed Wallace? He's 27. He's not as young as I thought he was. I thought he was. Yeah, so this kid's obviously considerably a bit younger though. So
yeah, but this also excites me that it looks like Moyes has the intention of working again with the academy, if you will, and bringing through a few of the youngsters. Now, I know we're not the only one that's linked with the chat. You know, I think Leicester are in there, and there's a few other Premier League clubs, Everton, I think Liverpool, I read. So, but it just excites me the fact that we're looking outside, the big leagues for these players. That we're going looking at the youngsters again, which it screams to me that Moyes is looking to rebuild the academy. And by bringing in, although he's slightly older than some of the ones that you consider academy, because the academy you'd think 14, 15, 16 and building them through. It looks like he's trying to rebuild that, that Big Sam ruined is the only way I can put it, really. Yeah. He basically near enough closed that down with his disregard for youth and always, in my opinion anyway, always preferring to find those, the journeyman that will do him a job for 12 to 18 months before finding the next journeyman that,
In fairness to Sam, and I'm no fan of Sam, in terms of the football that he plays, I mean, I'll readily admit that up until the relegation last season, he was a Premier League manager that did exactly what he said on the tin, if you know what I mean. Exactly. You knew the style of football you were going to get if you employed him. But I mean, in fairness to him, you say about he didn't do anything with the youth, and which all of which is fair comment. But I suppose in defence of him, his job is to get results on the football pitch by hook or by crook, and the pressure is such in the Premier League that, unless you've got a supremely gifted youngster, it's quite difficult to justify bringing a prospect from the youth team in over and above, say, a 26, 27, 28-year-old from, I don't know, out of Mongolia.
Yeah, but we're not even just talking 26, 27, 28-year-old, are we?
30, 31.
We're talking 30, 32, 33 at some point.
I was being generous.
I know. So, he would still prefer those over a talented youngster, regardless.
Yeah.
So, I personally had high hopes for the likes of George Moncur. What was his name? Rob Lisa.
Elliot and Ollie.
Elliot, yeah. I had high hopes.
And Daniel Potts.
Danny Potts. I mean,
whether they were good enough for Premier League, that is debatable. But
listen, I think Danny Potts was. At the end of the day, he played at Arsenal. He played, I don't know if I remember rightly, he played away at Arsenal and took an absolute crack up the side of the head, if I remember rightly, and was stretched off. Again, obviously, was good enough at that moment in time. So, there's probably people out there that are going to watch this that go, they'd rather have him as the backup left back than Arthur Masuaku right now. Even probably laying prone on the floor, ready to go off on a stretcher, they'd probably still have him over Arthur Masuaku.
I'd rather have my French Bulldog as the backup left back ahead of
listen, your French Bulldog will go in teeth baring into a tackle. I'm telling you that now. I know for a simple fact because the bastard's done it on me. But yeah, that's what I'm at. I like the idea that Moyes is obviously preparing for the future with a signing like this, or with the interest like this. Which again, let me twist that, and it excites me because that also shows to me that I think he's going to make another long-term commitment to the club. That he sees himself being here for some time now.
Yes.
And is this 17-year-old someone that City looked at because of obviously Rob Newman? Rob Newman, that's his name, isn't it? Rob Newman?
Yeah. Former Norwich player.
Obviously,
he's former Norwich player who later became Manchester City's director of football or sporting director, whatever they called him.
Which makes me think: is this a name that's come out of his notebook? Although he's on gardening leave, or was on gardening leave, I'm not sure if he still is. The City have let him go back to work now.
Yeah,
I think it was the end of the transfer window, and then he could start work, wasn't it?
I don't know if I can't remember if he's coming or not. I know we've got the new guy, the analytics guy has come in.
That excites me. That excites me so much. I watched the stream the other day. They were talking about, might have been Gonzo over at the chat, and he was saying about how prepared these players will now be for whatever onslaught is going to be coming their way from a specific team or side, because this guy coming in with the analytics side of it, the guys will be prepared going forward, and I just think with Newman and this young lad, it may well be a Newman, little notebook kind of player, and we might start seeing a lot more of this now going forward if he has now, joined the club up transfer window, because obviously City didn't want him going after their prospects. Not that we can compete financially with those guys.
No.
And Leigh might be a name out of that notebook, and you'll start seeing a lot more of this name dropping, if you will, going forward with the players that are going to be that apparently we're interested in. Might take with a pinch of salt, but the youngsters, they do. No, I'm not going to use that phrase. Seeing the names of the youngsters that are linked with us does. It fills me with a little bit of encouragement that's what we're doing. We're looking to rebuild. I was going to say, looking at the youngsters, it excites me. And I knew exactly how it sounded, and that's why.
You want me to edit it out? Do you want me to edit it out?
Because that could create a little bit of comedy. Because in no way, shape, or form is that what I meant. But
no.
But yeah, that's my story for the day. Like I say, it excites me that we're looking at rebuilding the academy, and that's the way I look at that. Anyone 16, 17 is for me what I class as rebuilding the academy.
And for me, it's, I always find, I don't know about you, Duke, but I always find I have a little bit more patience, a little bit more love, if you will, towards an academy player that's come through, whether they came through from the age of 8 or whether they've come through from the age of 18,
like
whatever. They've come through a sort of like a process behind the scenes. It's not someone that's been bought in, that's been paid, millions of pounds for, and is straight in the first team. This is someone that's gone through, has been nurtured, has gone through the system. And when they take to the first team, I as a West Ham fan, and I know you as well, and most other West Ham fans feel the same. You have more of a vested interest. You have more patience. You have more of an affinity towards that kid taking to the pitch, and you want them to do more than you. In a way, you want them to succeed a little bit more than you do with that 20-30 million pound signing.
You say that, right? And there's a 31-year-old at the moment. Didn't realise he was that old, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. There's a 31-year-old currently, 3 goals in 6 games playing for Colchester that I still have an absolute soft spot for. After he came off the bench to score against Blackburn, when he should have really tucked the first one away and then scored with a fantastic diving header.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I still have a massive soft spot for Freddie Sears, just because he lived that dream. He came off the bench as an academy product. He got that goal against Blackburn. Like I say, although he should have scored the first time, great composure to score the header. And I just noticed now that I think he's got 3 and 6 at Colchester this season, and an assist. So he's been involved in 4 goals in 6 league games. And I, honest to God, didn't realise he was 31. 31 years old. I feel old now, mate.
We are getting old, Duke. We are getting old. Okay, so the story that I'm going to bring to the table, well, it's a story it's not exactly a news story. It's sort of been regurgitated, but it's obviously quite important, and it's popped up yet again. Let me just go full screen with that. Declan Rice's contract, Duke. There's negotiations that have been bubbling away in the background, so it seems. This is an article from Give Me Sport that was published today. So this is fresh off the, well, you can't say off the print, but you know what I mean. And it says transfer insider Dean Jones is unsure to whether West Ham United will bow to Declan Rice's demands of inserting a release clause into a potential new contract. So the England international is contracted to us until 2024. So, just by that statement alone, it's like, well, we got him for another 3 years. And then it goes on to say there's an option that the club can exercise to extend it by another year. So 2025. So, whether you think we should be any particular hurry to hand him a new deal or not is a matter for the individual. However, and when I say that, I'm talking about in terms of, it's not like he's got 2 years left on his deal, and we sort of, you know what I mean. But I appreciate that in order to keep him happy, you might want to bump his money up. But, is it a pressing concern from the point of view that his deal is running out? No, it's not. Anyway, just to continue, we're keen to tie him down to an even longer contract after former club Chelsea, who released the 22-year-old when he was still a teenager, coming through their ranks, was heavily linked with making a move during the summer transfer window. Manchester United were also interested and told that the move would only be possible if they met West Ham's £100 million price tag, which cross-city rivals Manchester City kept tabs on Rice's situation ahead of the deadline passing last week. However, West Ham's hopes of Rice committing his future to the East London club have suffered a blow after the defensive midfielder rejected 2 offers of a new deal, which is obviously something we've discussed in the past. Obviously, it says here, it goes on to say, Rice will only pen a fresh contract if a release clause is included. Rice's demands came after feeling as though he was denied a summer transfer due to the Hammers' prohibitive £100 million asking price. Now, obviously, we know that it's not West Ham's preferred option. In fact, I don't think there's a player that's got a release clause at present at the club. So to put a release clause in would, I suppose, set a precedent going forwards, which I always think is a slightly dangerous thing.
It depends on what the base is, or the base price is, and the difference between the player and the club.
Well, let me ask
Declan
you
Rice
something.
Is saying 60 million release clause, and we value Declan Rice at 100 million. And no, we're not going to put that release clause in there. If we value Declan Rice at 120 million, and he wants to put 100 million clause in there, then yes, then you go ahead and you do that. Now, it just depends on how close Declan Rice is to the £100 million price. It's not like he's saying 60 and we're saying 140. You know, it is all relative to how far apart we are. Now, if we're saying £100 million and we ain't budging, then Declan Rice has got to look at that. I'm not being funny. Jack Grealish just went to City for £100 million. Now, is Jack Grealish as valuable to Aston Villa as Declan Rice is to West Ham? Damn him right he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's no doubt. There is no doubt that Declan Rice is as valuable as a commodity or as a player in that 11 as he is, as Grealish was for Aston Villa or is to Manchester City. He's just important to us. Therefore, £100 million has to be the minimum in a release fee for me. So if Declan Rice isn't willing to agree to £100 million release clause, then he doesn't deserve to be earning £125,000, £130,000 a week. If he wants to earn that money, he has to acquiesce to what we consider his price to be. We're the ones that hold the cards in that front. And then in 6 months' time, in January, we can turn around and go, you know what, it ain't working. Anyone wants him, come and pay £100 million. And let's be honest, City, United and Chelsea will pay that £100 million because what Declan Rice brings to the table for their club.
Well, I don't know about you. I did a little bit of research because I wasn't sure what the most expensive player in history in his equivalent position has ever gone for. I couldn't, off the top of my head, think. So I did the usual, went on to Google, sort of did a bit of digging, and the most expensive player as a central/defensive midfielder was Paul Pogba, who actually went for a world record at the time in 2016. It's 90 million quid. Now, if you adjust that for inflation, it's that 90 million quid is now worth 98 point something million. Okay, so let's call it 100 million. Let's call it 100 million. So the question I would ask is Declan Rice now superior to Paul Pogba 2016 version, not the 2018 version that won the World Cup, because you know that's not a fair comparison. But you know, you might even turn around and say he's better then.
Now. I think he's better now.
Okay. Well, that's
more to the table. But he brings more to the table as a player than Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba's arrogance, and
flaky, isn't he?
It's his arrogance.
He's got all the tools.
Consistent. He has everything to be considered one of the best players in the world in the future. I.e., as looking back on a player's career, he has all the tools to be considered one of the best players in his position.
So I don't
in football. So I don't see why.
That. Well, I don't see that 100 million quid. Therefore, on that basis, that the most expensive player in his position that's ever been sold was 90 million quid, and adjusting that for inflation, you can basically say, well, it's now 100 million quid. So I say a minimum is 100. That's the absolute starting point, and I would suggest that if you're going to use the argument that, well, Declan Rice now is better than Paul Pogba 2016 version that went for that amount of money, that are worth 100 million, then you could use the argument, well, actually, he's worth 110, 120. And at the end of the day, it's not what Declan Rice says, I am worth this, you know, and it's like, well, like you say, if you want wages of 120 million pound player, then you got to accept that if we come to sell you, that's the price tag we're going to put on your head, and it's as simple as that. What you want to go for, what you want to be sold for, to be honest, is neither here nor there, and that's with all due respect to Declan Rice. But now, we discussed this the other night. I'm actually going to put this out there. Declan Rice. Do I think he's going to go in the next transfer window, Duke? You know the answer to this. I'm going to elaborate on this.
I know
you know my thinking.
Your thoughts on this. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I'm going to get this out there. And this is, again, guys, comment section below. If you agree, if you disagree, if you think I'm talking out of me backside, crack on. Do I think he's going this summer? No. I'll tell you why. Because Mark Noble's retiring. I can't see that Gold and Sullivan, for all their faults, would allow a situation where in the same transfer window, if you will, our club captain retires and our team captain is sold. I just cannot imagine it. Furthermore, if they hold out for another season during the course of the following season, what have you got in the middle of it? You've got the World Cup in Qatar. Now, I think that Declan Rice, it's not inconceivable to say that Declan Rice will go to that World Cup and tear it up, light that tournament up. So at that point, I think that Declan Rice will be at his absolute maximum amount of money that we can squeeze out of it, that we can justifiably say he is worth this. And other clubs go, actually, we can see that he definitely is a 120 million, 130, whatever it is at the time, pound player. So I think at that point, he will be worth his absolute maximum. If you then go to the end of that season, it's 2023. Now, what else happens in 2023, Duke?
Those delightful individuals lose the what is it,
for the stadium
premium pay. They lose the premium payout that they have to do if they sell the club before.
So now Declan Rice is worth his absolute maximum, and they can sell him, and at the same time sell the club and get out of Dodge. Yeah,
they'll do that.
That's what I think. I think he's staying for another season. I think he may well sign his contract. I don't know.
No.
But even if he doesn't sign this contract, like I say, he's here till 2025. So if at 20, if my theory comes to pass,
we will exercise that year's extra. But why you're not good with a player of that level, player of that caliber? That's exactly what you do. Yeah.
So so at that point he would have 2 years left on the deal. And like I say, I think at that point it would be right. We can get 120, 125, 130, whatever. Get him in. Oh, and by the way, we've sold the club.
Haven't got to deal with fallout then, have they?
Exactly. Now we'll see. It may well be that he does go in the summer, but I just think losing two captains in the same time frame, I just don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. But we'll see. Time will tell. Guys, comment section below. You've got the story about Leigh. Is this something that excites you? This is a youth player added to the youth system. Good, bad, indifferent. I personally think it's always a good thing, and obviously Duke does as well. And Declan Rice, the contract, should he have a release clause? Shouldn't he? Do you think that, once we've agreed to this, it sets a precedent going forwards? Or do you think this is an exceptional circumstance? And what do you think about my theory that actually he's not even going next summer and it'll probably go in the transfer summer window of the 2023 after the World Cup in Qatar? Let us know what you think. You might think I'm talking complete nonsense, but you've got the comment section below to let us know. And as usual, guys, drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and
Just give that little bell. Give that bell a little flick. Or give it a little touch.
That's it. Give it a little touch. And we're going to do our little sign off, Duke. What are we?
We're fucking reprobates is what we are. That sounds so creepy. No, we are fucking massive.
We are. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.